Say SQL Tutorial 2 Overview of SQL. In SQL Tutorial 1 Introduction to SQL, we discussed what is SQL, who should learn SQL, subsets of SQL, etc. See, in this overview of SQL, we are going to discuss learning objectives for SQL, roadmap for the program, what we have to learn. See, SQL, Structured Query Language, is a standard language for accessing databases. All relational database management systems like MS Access, SQL Server, Oracle, Sybase, MySQL, DB2 use SQL as standard database language. See, SQL Structured Query Language. Structured Query Language. Query Language is a standard language for accessing standard language for accessing databases in any database management system like Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, etc. Next, all relational database management systems, all relational database management systems, RDBMS, relational database management systems, RDBMS, like MS SQL Server, next Oracle, next open source MySQL, SQL Server, Oracle, commercial DBMS, commercial database management systems, MySQL, open source. Next, Sybase, DB2, database 2, mainframe database, MS Access, use SQL, use structured query language as standard database language, See, next, roadmap for the program. What are the learning objectives? First, environment setup. Say, we can practice SQL commands in any database management system. If you install Oracle, you can practice SQL commands, or if you install SQL Server or MySQL, you can practice. We can practice SQL commands in any database management system. Install any database engine like Oracle, Sybase, MS SQL Server, etc. Any database engine and practice. See, we can practice SQL commands Say SQL is command-based language. It is not programming language, pure programming language. Here no flow control statements, no flow control. We use commands, statements, but no flow control in SQL. Conditional statements, loop statements, etc. See, SQL commands, we can practice SQL commands in any database management system. Database management system. Example, Oracle, MySQL, MySQL or MS SQL Server, MS SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, etc. Say we can practice SQL commands in any database management system. Just install database engine and practice enough. Say in future chapters I will show how to set up environment and how to practice. This is only roadmap for the program. Next, SQL syntax. SQL syntax. See, every computer language follows syntax, system grammar. Okay. Here, what are the important syntax rules for SQL? A database contains one or more tables. A database contains one or more tables. Each table is identified by a name. Each table is identified by a name. Tables contain records, nothing but rows with data. A database contains one or more tables. Each table is identified by a name. Tables contain records, nothing but rows. Next, most of the actions we need to perform on a database are done with SQL statements. Next, SQL keywords are not case sensitive. It's not a case sensitive language. Next, all the SQL statements start with any of the keywords like select or insert or update or delete, etc. And all the statements end with semicolon. Semicolon is the standard way to separate SQL statements. See, a database contains one or more tables. Next, each table is identified by a name. Next, tables contain records, nothing but rows with data. Next, most of the actions we need to perform on a database are done with SQL statements. See, most of the actions we need to perform on a database are done with SQL statements. SQL statements. Just a minute. Next, SQL keywords are not case sensitive. SQL keywords, reserved words. Suppose command is keyword. SQL keywords are not case sensitive. Case sensitive means no difference between uppercase and lowercase values. For example, select is the same as select. Next, all SQL statements starts with any of the keywords. All SQL statements start with, just a minute, start with any of the keywords, reserved words, like select, or update, or not case sensitive, update or delete. All these are SQL commands. Delete, insert, etc. See, all SQL statements start with any one of the keywords like select, update, delete, drop, insert, etc. Next, all statements end with a semicolon. All statements end with a semicolon. See, this is the semicolon symbol. Brackets only for understanding purpose. This is the semicolon. This one. Okay. Next, semicolon. It is the standard way. It is the standard way to separate SQL statements. To separate SQL statements. Okay, these are the important syntax rules in SQL. Next, third topic, first environment setup, next SQL syntax, next SQL data types. SQL data types. See, a data type identifies what kind of value a column can contain. We have to use data types while creating database tables. Choose a particular data type for a table column based on your requirement. Say, a data type defines what kind of value a column can contain. Suppose we have to use data types while while creating database tables. Choose a particular data type. Choose a particular data type for a table column. For a table column based on your requirement. Based on your requirement. Okay. See here example data types. See you can find data types in all computer programming languages. You take any language, you can find data type. Example character. Data types. Character data types. Next numeric data types. Next date and time data types. Etc. See I will explain data types with examples in data types chapter. Here one small note. Data types vary from one database management system to another. Say Oracle data types vary from SQL Server data types. SQL Server data types vary from MySQL data types. Slight difference, not much. See, data types vary from one database management system, not one database to another, not one database to another, one database management system to another. Okay, this is a brief introduction about SQL data types. Next, fourth one, operators. SQL operators. See, operators are used to perform arithmetic, comparison, and logical operations. See, we have some categories of operators in SQL. Arithmetic operators, comparison operators, and logical operators. See, in SQL operators chapter, I will show practical. See, operators are used to perform arithmetic, next comparison, and logical operations. Next, categories of operators in SQL. Categories of operators in SQL. First one, arithmetic operators. Next, comparison operators. Next, logical operators. Okay. Next, SQL functions. SQL functions. See, 4, 5. SQL functions. Say SQL has many built-in functions for performing processing on data. SQL has many built-in functions for processing. Categories of built-in functions in SQL: aggregate functions, string functions, date functions, etc. See, no user-defined functions in SQL. Built-in functions available, predefined functions. We can use those functions for our operations. See, SQL has many built-in functions, many built-in functions for performing processing on data. See, categories of built-in or predefined functions. Uh, aggregate functions. Just a minute. Aggregate functions. Next, string functions. Operations on strings. Next, date functions. Date functions, etc. Next, we have some subsets of SQL language. Subsets of SQL. One of the subset is data definition language. Say, subsets of SQL. Data definition language. Next, data manipulation language. Next, data control language. See, these are the subsets of SQL, structured query language. What is the number? 5, 6. First, database definition language. What is database definition language? The database definition language, DDL, is used to create and destroy databases and database objects. Database object means, suppose, table. Database table is database object. See, the database uh, definition language, short form DDL. Definition language is used to create and destroy databases, databases and database objects, example tables. Next, important operations, important operations. Create database, say using data definition language commands, we can perform the following operations. Create database, next use database, use database. Use means specify the database you wish to work with within your DBMS. Suppose in your database management system, 10 databases are there. You want to work with one particular database called students marks or students. You, you need to specify the database type. Specify the database, specify the database you wish to work, you, you wish to work with within your DBMS, within your database management system. Suppose in your database management system 10 databases are there, then specify your database that you want to work with. Next, alter database. Next, drop table. Next, drop database, drop database. Say these are the important operations in data definition language. Using data definition language, we can perform these operations. Using using data definition language commands, DDL commands, we can perform these operations. Next, data manipulation language, data manipulation language. See, the data manipulation language DML is used to insert, retrieve and modify database information. Important operations: insert records to an existing table, retrieve the specific information from an operational database, modify information contained within a table, delete information contained within a table. See, the data manipulation language, just a minute. Short form DML is used to insert, retrieve and modify database information. Next, important operations. operations. See, first, insert records. Insert records to an existing table. To an existing table. Insert records. Next, retrieve the specific information. Retrieve the specific information from an operational database. Operational database. Next, modify information. Modify information contained within a table. Contained within a table. Next, delete information. Delete information contained within a table. Within a table. Say these are the important operations in data manipulation language. Using data manipulation language commands, we can perform these operations. Next, data control language. See, data control language. Just a minute. Data control language. Say, the data control language DCL allows database administrators to configure security access to relational databases. See, the data control, the data control language, short form DCL, allows database administrators to configure security access to relational databases. Next, here important operations. See, provide access on the databases. Provide access on the database objects to the users. Next, remove user access rights to the database objects. Next, deny permissions to users. See, provide access on the database objects, to the users. Next, remove user access rights. Remove user access rights to the database objects, objects. Next, deny permissions to users. Deny permissions to users. See, these are the important operations in data control language. Using data control language commands, we can perform these operations. Next, important one, SQL select. See, select statements are very important in SQL. SQL select. SQL select. Select not case sensitive. SQL select statement. See, the select statement is used to select data from a database. The select statement is used to select data from a database. Used to select data from a database. Here, general selection, general selection. Next, just a minute. General selection, plain SQL statements. Next, conditional selection, conditional selection, etc. Say, here we use clauses, suppose whereas, operators, suppose salary greater than 10,000. That greater than is operator. See, here we use for conditional selection, we use clauses. Next, example clauses, whereas. Next, operators and keywords, etc. Next, SQL joins. See, the SQL joins clause is used to combine records from two or more tables in a database. Suppose if you want to retrieve data from two or more tables, then we have to use SQL joins. Say, the SQL joins clause, the SQL joins clause is used to combine records from two or more tables in a database. See here different types of joins. Types of joins. Anyhow, it is roadmap for the program. Just indexing the concepts. Later, we will discuss each and every concept in detailed manner. I will show practical types of joins in SQL. Inner join. Next, left join. Next, right join. Next, full join, full join. See, some more concepts also there, normalization, views, indexes, etc. But these are the important concepts for SQL. Next class onwards, we will discuss each and every concept in detailed manner. Okay, this is about overview of SQL. Thank you.